why is it so hot through this summer? Well, first of all, let's answer the question, has it really been that hot? Isn't it just summer? We're seeing a lot of comments about it being just summer. Well, I think it's hard to justify saying it's a typical summer when we look at some of the stats, because we already know that June was very warm. Our record's going back over 100 years. The mean temperature for June, the second warmest on record. And for England, it was actually the warmest June on record. So we know that June was very warm, and the warmth has continued into July. The current temperature, where we're at, if we look at the mean temperature so far through all of summer, this was from a couple of days ago, we are in the top 5%. So yeah, pretty unusual. We are in the top 5%. That's the mean when you take the temperature across the whole of the UK during day and during the nighttime. If we just look at nighttime temperatures, then actually we are extreme. We are above the record for this stage of the summer months. Those nighttime temperatures averaged across the whole of the UK are above the highest we've recorded. Again, records going back well over 100 years. So that is extreme. Not to say it'll stay that way. We're less than halfway through the summer, but as it stands at the moment, we are above that record. So yeah, it has been a very, very warm summer so far. By the end of this hot spell, we'll have had 30 Celsius recorded on either 11 or 12 different days. And that, at this stage of summer, has only happened twice before, in 1976 and 2018, both of which were hot summers. So I think by whichever way you measure it, it has been an unusually warm summer so far. It's also been very sunny. But what are the contributing factors to that? Well, obviously, we've got the changing climate. That is always going to be in the background. We know that the world is warming up. We know that the UK is warming up. So that is one part of it. But there are other factors at play also. One is actually how dry the ground is. Now, this graph is quite interesting because a lot of people think that the summer has been very dry, but this is the running total of the rainfall across the UK as it stands at the moment. And you can see, tracking it through the summer, we're actually pretty much bang average. We're bang close to this middle black line, the average. So summer so far hasn't been especially dry across the whole of the UK, but there's always regional variations. And crucially, it's following on from what was a very dry spring. So spring was a very dry season. This was averaged over the whole of the season. You can see much of Wales, most of England, parts of eastern Scotland, less than 50% of the average rainfall. Notice this pocket down here, parts of southeast Wales, parts of central southern England, less than 30%. So spring was a very dry season. I talked about the rainfall so far through summer. Now this is the map for the whole of summer so far. Now this needs explaining. Don't look at that and think, oh, it has been dry, what you're talking about, because this is for the whole, when compared to the whole of summer, and we'd only expect 42% of average. So you'd expect it in this mid-brown colour, but even then you can see quite a chunk of East Wales and England is in the dark brown colour, so that's less than 30%. So that is less than average here, whereas parts of Cumbria have already had have had close to their average summer rainfall, and we're only halfway through. So that's showing that regional variation. One more thing I want to talk about in terms of moisture. This is soil moisture deficit. This is showing how dry the ground is across the UK. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see that actually in parts of Wales in particular, and the West Midlands down towards that area we saw that had a very dry spring. It's very dry, the soil. The soil moisture deficit is basically the amount of rain, the amount of water you'd have to put back into the soil to get it at field state, at steady state. The ground is like a sponge, if you think of it. Most of the time it's got some water in it, but due to evaporation, then if it doesn't rain, then you're going to lose that soil moisture. And that's showing quite high soil moisture deficit in this zone in particular, and across parts of Yorkshire, where of course a hosepipe ban came into play today. Why is that important? Well, it's one of the contributing factors to the heat. Because the ground is so dry, if there's more moisture in the ground, then it takes some energy from the sun, from the heat, to evaporate that moisture. When the ground is dry, you don't get as much evaporation, so there's more energy left just to heat the air. So that is one of the factors why we're seeing high temperatures, particularly this time around, across that zone, across East Wales and the West Midlands. Another one, talked about it earlier, the sea. The state of the sea around the UK significantly above average. In fact, a marine heat wave across parts of southern England, South Wales, in and around the Irish Sea. This is last week, but it just goes to demonstrate that the sea surface temperatures are well above average. So that's not going to, so if the air's travelling over the sea, it doesn't necessarily get us cooled down as much as it would have done. So you've got the dry ground, you've got the warm seas surrounding the UK. On top of that, you've got the high pressure, which is squashing the air. That squashing, increasing the pressure, that builds the temperature as well, along with the strong sunshine beating down day on day. They're the four main contributing factors to this current hot spell. And in the background of all of that, of course, you've got our warming climate. So that kind of explains why this summer so far has been so pretty warm, so unusually warm.